Hi, I'm Joanne Litton with Purdue Extension here in Carroll County, and today we are making my favorite Christmas cookie, gingerbread cookies. I love these because these were a family favorite recipe. So the first thing we do is we add the sugar and we add the shortening. Now notice it is packed down, so we're going to use our spatula to scoop it out. And then we're going to do a process called creaming. Some people use a pastry blender, but I happen to like just 2 knives. So we want to end up with lots of small little pieces, so you're just going to cut the shortening into the sugar. Once it's all creamed together, you are going to add molasses. I like a very dark molasses. Gives it a little extra spice to it. And you will find molasses a lot of times in the grocery store near syrup. And for those of you new to baking, the molasses is a liquid, so it's in a liquid measuring cup, whereas our shortening was in a dry measuring cup. So we're ready to stir that together. And now we will add ginger, baking soda, and hot water to activate the baking soda. And since this is one of Grandma's recipe, by the way, we have a family favorite foods project where you can enjoy baking with Grandma, and our 3rd and 4th graders bring cookies to the fair. Since it's Grandma's recipe, the next ingredient is almost, sometimes, similar to 4 cups of flour. So I measured out 3 cups because I'm going to dump that in initially. And then you do the 4th cup until it looks right, Grandma says. By the time I add the 4th cup, that's when I call this the ooey gooey stage, and we get to use our hands to finish forming it. One of the great things about this particular cookie recipe is that you can keep working it and not worrying about it getting to be tough cookies. So we'll add some and see how we make out. So it won't matter how many times we need to roll out the dough to use it all up. The last cookie cut out will taste just as good as the first cookie. Okay, so mixed in the rest of the 4 cups, and now I'm going to spread a little bit of flour down on the countertop, pull out my dough, and you want to knead it until you get a ball. So the bottom half is sticky, so we'll just keep adding a little bit of flour at a time until it's no longer sticky. And this is I knead this kind of like I do yeast rolls, so I just keep pulling it into the center. And of course, when we get ready to cut out the cookies, we won't want any flour left on the top, so we will work it all in. So get your cookie cutters out and your rolling pins, and you're ready to go.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Holt, and the next step is we're going to grease our cookie sheet. So you need a cookie sheet, and then some pan, and you're just going to spray a little on, and then you'll take your paper towel And just lightly wipe over the cookie sheet to get all the Pam on the entire sheet. So now we're ready for the fun part. You will start rolling your cookie dough. So you're going to roll it to about a 1/4 inch thick. And first you're going to put flour on your rolling pin so that way the dough doesn't stick to your rolling pin. So you want to start by going in all directions. And try to make it as even as possible. Alright, so that looks really good. So next you're going to take your cookie cutters, and I would go ahead and put a little flour down and put your cookie cutter in the flour so that way you just make sure that your cookie cutter doesn't stick. And then you're going to just start by working the cookie cutters into the dough. So you want to make sure that you put them close together so that way you get as much cookies on one time around. So I chose a candy cane, a star, now a little gingerbread man. And a Christmas tree. And then you'll go ahead and you can do as many as you'd like. But I'm going to do these right here. And then you're going to pick up your cookies and put them on the pan. And you want to make sure that they're a little spread out, so that way they're not right on top of each other and they have plenty of room to bake. So now that we have our cookies on the cookie sheet, it's now time to put them in the oven. So you want to put your oven, preheat it to 350 degrees, and then for about 10 to 15 minutes.
So our cookies baked for 10 minutes, and I tested them by pressing lightly down with my finger, and they were done. So I brought them out. Remember, when you're taking hot pans out of a hot oven, always to use a pot holder. We're going to let them cool for 10 minutes, and then we'll take them off and put them on a cooling rack to finish cooling before we ice them.
So now it's time to make the icing for our cookies we've already made, and they look delicious. So now we're going to add all of our ingredients into a bowl. So we're going to start out with powdered sugar. Then we're going to add salt. And our shortening. And then next, our vanilla. And then finally, our milk. We're going to start out with a tablespoon, but we may have to add more milk. This will vary. Now you'll need a mixer, and then you'll mix all the ingredients together. And now your icing should look nice and creamy. Now it's my favorite time, decorating. So first we're going to start by coloring the icing. So we're going to use two different types of coloring. So we're going to use a gel for the red and a paste for the green. So we're going to start by doing the red, and a little food coloring goes a long way. So just put 1 drop and then stir. You can always start off with a little bit, and then you can add gradually, but you can't take back. So and another tip with coloring with icing, it will darken as it sits out. Alright, so I got the red, the color I like, and now I'm going to do green. So with paste, you will use a toothpick, and then you'll stick your toothpick in, and you'll get some green food coloring. And then I always do a couple dips into the icing and then swirl it to get some of that coloring off. Then just gonna stir to see what color. So now I've got the green that I want. So now the next step is to put them in icing bags. So here's icing bags. Then you're going to cut off the tip, so about 1 inch up, to put your plastic couplings in the bag. And I'm going to use a star tip. So a star tip, there's different types of icing tips. So there's a star tip, there's a round tip, there's a leaf tip, there's lots. And this reminds me of one of my favorite projects in 4-H is cake decorating and cupcake decorating. So that is a project here in Carroll County. So you can actually decorate a cake or a cupcake and bring it to the fair. That was one of the projects I did when I was in 4-H. Alright, so now that we have all of the icing in the bags, now it's time to decorate, which is my favorite part. So one important thing when decorating, make sure that you twist your bag and keep it tight. So that way, when you squeeze the bag, the icing will come out. So now we're ready to start decorating. And all I do is just squeeze and pull up. Squeeze, pull up. So this is what the star tip looks like. And then I'm going to use the round tip to add some little Christmas bulbs. So you just squeeze. And now you have a nice decorated gingerbread cookie.